Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear, man. I can hear you loud and clear. 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are here with the legendary, the one and only Maxwell Melvins of the Lifers Group. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, my brother. I'm doing great. And you and yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing absolutely phenomenal. Just trying to stay safe down here with all this COVID-19 stuff going on. But other than that, I am absolutely swell.
Exactly. And I just want to say it's a pleasure and an honor to be on this show. You know, to speak out and reach out to the people up in Canada and everything. You know, it's a pleasure and honor to be on here, my brother. I just wanted to share that with you and the listeners.
I greatly appreciate that, Maxwell. First and foremost, I got to share with you. It's an absolute honor to, have you on my station, man. Like, your music really made a positive impact on myself growing up. I had a really rough childhood and whatnot, and I always, your music really helped me stay on the straight and narrow, man. So thank you for everything you have done for not only myself but thousands upon thousands of other listeners as well.
Yes, and I appreciate that very much. And knowing that, that some type of way from our circumstances and our position that we was able to reach out, to help and steer someone in the right direction, because that was all intended purposes from the beginning. And I'm just glad to hear that you are one of many, who said that we have contributed to their life in one way or another in a positive way. Thank you.
You are most certainly welcome. And Maxwell, as we already know, you are part of the Lifers Group. I have to ask you, tell us the story behind the group, and of course, how did you get connected with all the other members?
Well, a lot of the members I went around through the population. When the concept came up, I was reaching out to DJ Red Alert. I don't know if you know DJ Red Alert over here. I'm sure you probably heard of him, DJ Red Alert.
Most definitely. Legendary individual.
Exactly. And I was reaching out to him to come in and do a show. And during the course of reaching out to DJ Red Alert, there was a young gentleman by the name of David the Funkin' Clown. They called Gangster Limpet, kid from out of Colorado. I told him, that I had an idea. I say, as far as, our program at the time and everything, after a while things die out. And I wanted to think of a new way in which we could reach some of the kids. So he had told me that he was going out to California to be the head of Hollywood Basics, on Hollywood Records. And me and him stayed in contact, and I told him, I had some brothers in here who can rap and everything. And, so he went out there. He started sending me beats and things. I gathered up some guys within the prison. I told them of the ideal that I had. A lot of them thought I was just talking out of my mind. And I told them, I asked them, look, if y'all can describe, I would like in a rap form, if you could describe and define what prison life is for you, and if you had a message to send out to the kids or to tell someone not to end up in here, what would you do? I asked them, could they put it in the format of a rap song? So that's how the concept of that came up. And, it's something I wanted to do and be able to give back and to have an impact out there, because in the early 90s, rap music was very influential and had a devastating impact on our young youth. And since they have been listening to all the rappers as far as hairstyles, clothing, and everything, I said, wow, that would be really amazing if they could listen to us and the message that we were trying to put out there and deter them from coming to prison. It would be great. That could become a fad as well. So that's where that all began at.
And also, you guys, the Lifers Group was one of the first and only groups to really actually, do what you did behind prison walls. You guys filmed your music videos, you guys did your audio recordings behind there. What I honestly think there, Maxwell, is you're the only group to actually do that. I do know in Rahway, I believe there was an R&B group as well. And one thing I do want to ask about that, did Lifers Group actually inspire that R&B group to actually do what they did as well behind Rahway prison walls?
No, but some of them gentlemen were a part of the Scared Straight program, but no, Lifers Group didn't actually inspire them. They were a group of gentlemen that had been doing time, and they had a great talent, and they were just great singers and performers, and that's where the concept of someone outside was able to hear them, became very much interested in recording them, because they were actually, the group you're referring to was the Escorts, Legendary Escorts. That's the name of the group. But Lifers Group weren't the ones that were responsible for them doing their music. No.
Okay, because that was one question I've always wondered. You know what I mean? Because I knew there was two
Yeah.
groups within Rawway, and my opinion, I always thought, oh, maybe Lifers, you know, inspired them or whatnot to just do what they do.
No, no, not at all. But Lifers Group, as you said, were the first and only hip hop group ever to record, the first that was to record in prison before any other group out there. As well, Lifers Group was also the first group to be nominated for a Grammy while in prison for a project that was done in prison. We're the first of its kind, you know? So we were the first in many ways. We were the first in many ways. And, you know, I like to know that we were the first. It's a great feeling to know that we were the first and to be able to reach those kids out there, because I got some great responses back from kids and you know, some amazing stories from Canada that kids were writing in and everything. And I was on several of the shows up in Canada. And so we had a great impact, you know, and I was just blessed to know that I was being a part of that, to tell our story in hopes that, you know, they wasn't following our path.
And also in '91, the Lifers Group actually released their self-titled EP, which is personally one of my absolute favorite projects by you guys. But I have to ask you, what was the inspiration and story behind that amazing EP, and what was it like actually just being able to record that?
Well, the amazing story, as I said, behind it, all right, I was in prison. As you know, I don't know if you know, but I was in prison. As a matter of fact, I was in prison. My best friend was killed, and I was responsible for that. And it wasn't something that was done intentionally or anything, but I had been in a confrontation with someone else, and I fired a couple of reckless shots, and a stray bullet happened to hit my friend and kill my friend. And while in prison, you know, I said, you know, that, you know, all this just can't, something good has to come up out of this. And in honor of that, in honor of my friend's life, I wanted to do something to change a lot of other lives so that, again, that they wouldn't follow my path and make the same mistakes that I made. So that's where the concept of all that music came from. It was something that inspired me. And I went to the other prisoners inside the prison, and I told them, and you know, like I said, a lot of people thought I was out of my head. A lot of people didn't want nothing to do with it in the beginning because they thought I was just talking out of my head. But the thing was, when they seen the letters start coming inside the prison from Walt Disney Company saying that we like to come in and interview Maxwell Melvins, they thought that it was very serious and that this was really going to happen. Then everybody wanted to be a part of it, but everybody couldn't be a part of the project because if they weren't doing things to improve themselves while in prison, they could not be a part of the project that I was doing, because that was my whole intention, is trying to deter our young youth from coming to prison. So they had to be, you know, on the right path themselves in there. And also the younger, they were some of the ones that we were mentoring in there. So we had that connection with them, you know.
And if you don't mind me following up on the Disney thing, because this one just popped in my head actually, was there any like controversy with Disney and some executives not wanting to work with you guys because Disney being like, you know, like a family company and you guys being within the prison walls?
Well, it wasn't so much of them, but what happened was the very guy was a little, Walt Disney Company, the record execs was a little reluctant to work with us, but the only thing that convinced them to work with us was, you know, I still have the article that was in the New York Times. They said that they found that myself, Maxwell Melvins, was a very organized guy, and they believed in him just because of, you know, my organizational skills and my commitment to things, and that they was willing to do that. You know, they was willing to give us that chance. And because the commonality that me and the Disney company had in common was they were into the business of entertaining kids, and we were into the business of saving kids' lives. So we shared that common goal right there.
And I am glad that Disney and yourselves, like, you know, came to understanding, because you really did touch so many lives in such a positive manner. So I'm really glad that you guys came to an understanding and they helped give life to the Lifers Group.
Yeah, absolutely they did, and I give a thanks to them. But we also had a lot of problems with MTV. Did not want to play our videos at first because they thought that the videos were a little too harsh. He played on TV, and I explained to them that if if I was to give them anything less, that we would be shortchanging them and not really giving them the harsh realities of everyday prison life. So they kind of like, did a little bit of editing and everything, and eventually MTV started playing our music. But one of the main persons in video shows that really started incorporating our music, I don't know if you're familiar with the show out of New York, Video Music Box with DJ Ross McDaniels.
I have heard of it.
Well, the video show, he was one of the biggest guys. I mean, the Jay-Z's, the Biggies, and all of them that became major stars. A lot of it had to do as a result of DJ Ross McDaniels and Video Music Box. Because everyone always rushed home every day to see that show. And that was one of the main things that helped us get through our time in prison, was every day we sitting around the TV waiting for that show to come on, because it kept us entertained and it kept us informed as to what was going out in the community. Now, he actually came in and did a documentary to help spread our message, and he actually was nominated for an Emmy for that documentary that he did. He was actually nominated for an Emmy for that, Rock McDaniels and Life Group. Yeah.
And as you mentioned, like briefly earlier about the Grammy Award nomination, I want to touch base on that just a little bit more. Like in '92, the short documentary Lifers Group World Tour Rahway Prison, that's it was actually nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Long Form Music Video. I want to ask, how did it feel to actually just be nominated for a Grammy? And of course, like I know from watching all your videos and being a fan that you guys unfortunately couldn't be there in attendance, but how did it feel just being there, being able to watch it on TV and actually just experience it, your guys' name being brought up?
Well, I was a little shocked and stunned. I never anticipated anything of such happening. And when they sent it, and they sent me the letter and everything, they sent me the medal and everything, said we had been nominated. I was shocked. I was stunned because they say we have been nominated against Peter Gabriel, Neil O'Connor, Billy Joel, and Madonna. And I'm just saying, to put us in that league, I never anticipated anything of its kind. And it felt great. It really felt great. Like you thought that our music and our message was that worthy of that. It was a very great feeling of the whole intention of the EP and the videos that was put out. It just felt great. It's kind of like hard to describe, but I also want to share with you, when Madonna won that night, I was lost for words. I choked up, and I actually broke down in tears. I'm not afraid to admit that I broke down in tears. I was a little disappointed in the fact that we didn't win. Not that we were competing against her, but like, hey, I thought we should have, just because of the content of what we had done and not having no understanding what the Grammy was all about. So I became very emotional at that point. We watched it live right here on TV in 2020, and all the news media was in there. As I said, I had to go to the back room because I actually broke down in tears. And it wasn't so much disappointing. I don't know. I just became so overwhelmed, like with butterflies in my stomach and all that,
And I do want to say that is completely fine, because honestly, after all the hard work you do, after all the help you want to give to these youth, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I've even told my wife this even before our interview, when I was talking about like the group and who I booked from this group. I was even telling her that they should have won that Grammy, because at the end of the day, Madonna always wins. You know what I mean? Something like that. They shouldn't discriminate if you're in prison or if you're not. You guys are putting in work, and you guys are really saving children's lives. So I really do think that you guys most definitely deserve that award more than anybody else in that criteria.
Yeah, and as I said, I thought so too. But as I said, I had no understanding what it was about, and I never anticipated, or hey, the project became bigger than me, and I had no intention of ever being nominated for a Grammy or anything. I just took something that was genuine in my heart and wanted to do to be able to save some lives and everything. And it was just amazing, because by being nominated for that Grammy, what it allowed us, it helped us to reach a larger audience and to be able to share our message to many people around the world. And I received many letters from kids from all over the world telling us of the impact that we had on them. So that was amazing.
And the one thing I do want to ask, like before we leave the whole topic of like kind of the lifers group, the one question I do actually have is one of my favorite songs that you guys did was called "The Short Life of a Gangsta." And directly after this interview, I'm going to be playing it in the station's rotation. It's been in my station's rotation for a long time, but I just want to hear from you. What's the story behind that iconic song?
Well, that was actually all of them were. That was actually a real life story of Shorty. It was about a kid who wanted to be a gangster, right? He didn't have a very long run of living that gangster lifestyle. As you saw, Shorty died at 14. Shorty's attitude was, got to get paid because life's too short. I'm not a prankster. I'm a gangster. His attitude was, I'm a real gangster. And our thing was, we wanted to show you gangsters either end up in prison or dead. That's what the message we wanted to send out. Because, all these kids want to be gangsters, but they don't know there's a hell of a price that comes with that, whether prison or death. It's the only outcome in wanting to be a gangster, and it was a true life story. Yes, it was. Short Life of a Gangster. So it was telling the story of what happened to the kids that aspired to be a gangster in life. He didn't have a very long run.
And also, in 1993, you did a phone interview with Michael Williams of on Much Music here in Canada, and that actually saved 5 lives. I have to ask you, how did that interview come to be for you, and how does it feel to know that one phone call just here in Canada, you know what I mean, saved 5 lives?
Well, man, it was great. I just couldn't believe it. Mike had showed the video. Because actually, Much TV of Canada was the MTV of like the United States. Much TV was the MTV of Canada, and I had done an interview on there, and a lot of people saw the interview, and there was a number to call in. They can call in, and this female was in a gang, and she actually saw me on there. And first, she thought when he saw the video that was just a Hollywood backdrop or something, right? Then when I got on there and did the interview and told the story, she understood that we were real people telling real stories and that we were actually in prison. And like I said, she was in a gang. She wanted to get out of the gang. Every time she attempted to get out of the gang, the guys would threaten her, look, we have you having sex on tape. If you get out of the gang, we're going to show your mother. So this girl plotted to kill these guys because she didn't want them to show that video, and she had actually gotten the weapons and everything, and she was going to kill these guys in order that they didn't share that with her mother. So she said what changed her whole mind was just the one thought, the 1 minute and possibility of her getting caught was like just that one time, that 1 minute of the possibility of getting caught is what stopped her from shooting those guys. So that's how that became about.
And I have to say, it's really tragic down here in Canada and even in the States that the fact that Much Music and MTV really don't play, music anymore. But I'm really glad that you actually had the opportunity to speak all the way from New Jersey all the way into Toronto, Ontario, Canada, just to be able to shed some light on that, because that's some powerful type stuff right there. Having just a phone interview over the phone and having saved some lives, man, that's some powerful stuff. And I got to say thank you for everything that you've done.
I like to, like I said, I like to thank, Canada. I like to thank Much Music and everything, because I'm gonna tell you my personal knowledge of Canada right now. Canada is off the chains right now with the murder rate and gang related and rappers being killed and beefing back and forth. Is out of control over there. And they've taken the music thing and turned it into something totally different. When the original hip hop was just about the art of rap, style, hairstyles, dancing, and all that, and they've turned this rap into something totally altogether different. They turned it into this gangsterism. And it's really not, and most of them aren't. They really haven't lived those lifestyles, but everybody wants to portray the lifestyle of a gangster. You know what I'm saying? And it's much easier just being a man. But most of them want to just portray the lifestyle of their gangster and think that they have to be tough and feel that they'll be more easily accepted by having a gangster mentality or gangster lifestyle. When actually that is played out, and like again, as I said, it's going to lead them either to prison for the rest of their life or to a graveyard.
And I remember when we were just talking on the phone, just me and you, like a couple weeks ago, you were telling me about that, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't know about a half of those murders until I actually looked them up on Google, and I was astonished at the fact that how many young rappers are getting killed out here, man. It's actually really sad.
Yeah. Yes, and I told you that I knew that because I followed that. I'm truly into hip hop and everything, and I follow that, and I try to do everything that I can do to stop that. You know, like I've been there and done that, and you know, it's nothing fake about what I said. You know, it's better that they hear from someone who really lived that lifestyle before and had that type of mentality to know that it's not worth it, and that, you know, like I said, you know, us being in prison, we thought we were gangsters and tough and all that. But when we got behind them bars and them doors slammed in our face at night, when we would get down on our knees praying and crying and how much we wanted to be home and be with mommy, our kids and family, and when we couldn't, you know. And I'm very fortunate that I've made it out of there after 33 years, because a lot of the fellas that went in, when I first went in, a lot of them didn't make it out of there. A lot of them ended up dead, or whether dying through medical, some being killed. And I just felt blessed to have made it out of there alive. You know?
And I'm very much glad that you made it out there as well, man, that you actually have the opportunity to actually get out there and do public speakings and speak to the youth.
Yes, yes. And, you know, as I said, in honor of my victim, I have no problem with, you know, doing that and sharing my story. I want to be the example of what them want them not to become. And I don't want them to become who I was in the past. So if I got to tell my story a million times, and if that's going to save some lives, I'm going to help to save some lives and tell my story every time I get a chance to tell my story and our story.
And the one last Lifers Group question I do have is, I've been hearing a lot of questions on the internet. A lot of people have been asking on the internet if somebody can create a Where Are They Now video, because a lot of people have been wondering, since you are the founder of the group, if you can shed some light on where the other members are now and like what are they currently doing?
Absolutely. Well, I'm in touch with a few of them. A few of them are working. They have jobs. They have families. They have kids. They went on to go on with their lives. And, you know, I'm still in touch with some immediate lifers who, for example, one of them, Original, is still doing music. B-Wise and Latif is like three of the lifers are still doing music right now. And Original is one of them. You know, Original is still doing music right now. He does speaking engagements also. I've actually brought him along on a couple of the speaking engagements that I had, such as we did one at the Metropolitan Museum of Fine Arts in New York. I brought Original along, and that's normally everybody's question is, where are the other guys at? And, you know, they're scattered around. A couple are dead, unfortunately, you know, whether they died in prison or not. And as I said, some of them are out here, and some of them are active in the community and doing other things. But, you know, they're still around.
And that's really good that some of them are actually out, you know, living their lives, you know. Because all you guys did some phenomenal stuff, like I said, for children growing up. You guys really helped a lot of individuals. So it's good to see that some of them are actually out, you know, jobs, families, and doing music.
Yeah.
But most definitely, I have to say, rest in paradise to the fallen ones as well.
Yes, but the great thing about it, there's a film going to be coming out on my life story in the Lifers Group that is in the process and is almost done, actually. And they can look forward to that early next year, March or something. There will be a film coming out on the Lifers Group. And it's being filmed by documentarist Scholar Economy. And, you know, as I said, it's going to tell the life story, my life story, along with the story of the Lifers Group. And it should be out about mid-February or March next year. We're into the closing stages of it right now.
And the one last question I have, and I was wondering, since there is a few individuals that are out and some of them are doing music, do you guys think you might get together kind of like for like a U.S. Lifers tour, or is that something you had? Is that, or the music part of things is something that you guys just put behind you?
No, it has not. It's not something that's put behind us. Yes, there are a few of us that will be doing putting something together. We'll be doing something. Yes, they can look forward to that. You can absolutely look forward to that. So I'm glad you asked that question, and it's going to be done, and we're going to have something coming out. You know?
I also saw a photo of you and director and filmmaker Spike Lee. I want to ask you, how did you get connected with Spike Lee? And of course, what was it like actually just being able to take a picture with him, man? Because he's one of the legendary
Well,
filmmakers of all time.
what was great about that, I was stunned that when he saw me, that he knew who I was. I was stunned by that. He was inside the prison. He was filming the movies Malcolm X at the time. I was actually an extra in there. And when he came in, and, you know, I had a chance to meet many of the celebrities when I came in, and it's just like, I said, what's up, Spike? And he knew who I was. I was stunned by that. And, the guys were like, yo, come on, let's get a picture. Let's get some pictures. So that's how I got a picture with him. And as I said, I was stunned that he knew who I was. He said, you're that guy from that video, the Lifers Group. I was like, yes. And I was just shocked that he knew, you know?
If you don't mind me asking, was that before or was that like after the whole Grammy stuff? Because that must have been a really
that was before the Grammy. That was actually before the Grammy stuff. You know?
For yourself and the guys there, Melvin. You might that must have really made you sit back and go, damn, like people must really know who we are out there.
Well, yes, I did because I had no clue of how far we had reached and how far we had stretched around the world. As I said, I went in with the intention of just trying to get my message out. I wasn't trying to do nothing more, nothing less. As I said, the project became bigger than me, much bigger than all of it. I didn't anticipate the project to turn out the way it did. I had a message I wanted to get out there, and that afforded me that opportunity, and that's all I wanted to do. And it served its purpose. You know?
And I've also noticed via YouTube that you have done some amazing work with Die Jim Crow. If you don't mind me asking, how did you get connected with him, and do you guys have any other projects currently in the works?
Absolutely. Die Jim Crow has several projects in the works right now. Die Jim Crow has several albums coming out, and we have one with B.L. Sherrill's album is out right now. That's on Die Jim Crow. Die Jim Crow is the first non-profit record label for formerly and currently incarcerated people. And we wanted to be that label, to be that outlet, to afford an opportunity for people to tell their own stories in their own words, right, with their own voices. So that's why Die Jim Crow Records was created. It's the first of its kind. And as I said, Die Jim Crow is releasing a new single every month. And B.L. Sherrill was the premier artist on Die Jim Crow Records. As I said, at some point, hopefully, I'd like to bring on B.L. Sherrill and the Die Jim Crow crew. Fury Young, the executive director of that, so we can go more in detail to let people know what Die Jim Crow Records is really about. And they will be surprised. It's not just about music. This is real music telling real stories. Real stories of people that's living it day to day. Talking about happiness, some is about pain, some is talking about death, it's talking about many things. But the way I became involved with it, the executive director, Fury Young, seen me on the internet somewhere, and he reached out and he asked me, he said, are you Maxwell Melvins from the Lifers Group? And I responded, yes, I'm Maxwell Melvins. And he told me, he was real big on the Lifers Group, and he's been a big fan of the Lifers Group. And he said, could we get in touch with each other? He would like to talk to me. And so we talked and everything. He did a couple documentaries on me. And then, he started working with me as on YouTube to have several documentaries, part 1, part 2, and 3 of Maxwell Melvin's story. And that's how we became connected. And then I became a part of the record label, was one of the creators. Along with them, we established Die Jim Crow Records. And, it's an amazing thing because we've been throughout prisons in the United States, more than 7 different prisons throughout the United States to record, people who are currently incarcerated.
And I've also noticed as well, because I was looking at a few of his videos as well, I saw a great documentary that you guys did, and also one great thing I noticed as well that I really love to bring up is I noticed he is actually doing I believe it's a little campaign right now via GoFundMe to bring, I believe it's, pharmaceutical masks into the prison so individuals can actually, have masks.
That was our PPE project that just ended. We've been doing it every week since this started. It's about to come to an end. We probably will be doing it once a month now. But so far, we've been very successful. We've been able to send more than 25,000 masks throughout prisons in the United States. We've been able to send in more than 25,000 masks to the great help and support of the people out there who contribute. that allowed us to be able to do this. As I said, there has to be someone out here to support those in there. I mean, we want them to come out a certain way. There's no one out here supporting these guys. I mean, what do you expect? We always come out, we want them to change, and, you have to be able to give something and be there for them. You can't just expect people to go in there and nobody to be out here, for them when they come out. We welcome them with open arms. If we can put them in the right direction as far as anything, we're there to help and to guide them in the right direction.
And that's a phenomenal thing to do as well, because unfortunately, if COVID does get in there, it's not like these individuals can just run and be like, oh, COVID, and go somewhere else. They're trapped in there. So it's really good that individuals like yourselves are really giving back to the people that unfortunately the government really doesn't care about. But there is amazing people like yourselves that really do like giving back to the individuals that are forgotten about.
Absolutely, and not just that. Myself, as I say, I go around, I do speaking engagements. And right now, I'm currently working on a series right now. It's called True Reality. Trueality. It's called true life stories of real people and women and people and men and women who have suffered from domestic violence. It's about entertainment and fashion and women who have suffered as a result of domestic violence. And we try to bring awareness to it because not just because of the fact of the COVID-19, but during that course, domestic violence and different things in the household has increased because you had people who were locked in the house and had no other choice and were very frustrated. So the rate of that increased. So, we're doing, actually, as I said, a series right now on that, and, through Jazz International, Jazz Underground International, we're doing a series on that right now as far as domestic violence, and it's something that must be done because the abuse that is going on out there, whether in the hip-hop or whatever, look at the women and the way the women are treated, and just listen at the way some of the rappers, and when you ask them to identify about a woman, the type of attitude they come in, you know what they say the majority of women are B's and H's, right?
Yep.
B's and H's according to them. And we're trying to show them, no, women are women. Those same very women are our sisters, our nieces, our mothers. And no right to be putting our hands on them. And women have caught a bad rap in the rap industry. So it's important, too, that is expressed. As you know, recently, by way of news, it's no secret that a couple of the women have been recently assaulted by other rappers in the industry out there. So we're trying to bring awareness to all that right now. So that's something else they can look forward to me working on right now. It's Trueality, Trueality. That's a series of real-life stories, yes.
And speaking of bringing awareness and whatnot, I've also noticed that you did a TED Talk. I watched that recently, about a few weeks ago. And I wanted to ask you, how does it feel to actually have your own TED Talk? Because if individuals that are listening don't know TED Talk, they're actually phenomenally big.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They found my story. They felt that my story was worthy enough, and it was a story that needed to be told. And I was invited to go on the TED Talk. I was shocked and stunned again. I did not anticipate anything such. Matter of fact, I was very nervous about going on TED Talk. But the only thing I had to do when I went up there is to just tell the truth and tell my story. And I went up and I told my story, and, I ended up on TED Talk. But, I mean, it was a great opportunity. Again, I had a chance to share my story and to tell people of the harsh reality of what happened. Because sometimes you wake up in the morning, you don't wake up and go say you're going to go out there and shoot someone. There's all types of scenarios and events that happen during the course of that when you live in that type of lifestyle, right, you don't know what the outcome of that day is going to be, So, it was a story that needed to be told, and TED Talk afforded me and allowed me to tell that story. And again, I feel blessed that I was able to tell that story through TED Talk.
And also, the one thing that I was really thinking about, when I was doing the research for this interview, is that I really, since you're really, keen on giving individuals that are looking to get into the life of crime, some advice, I was wondering, because we do got a lot of Canadian listeners and also a lot of listeners worldwide, whether it's Germany, Poland, UK, US, all over the world, and we have tons of countries listening right now. So I was wondering, what is some advice you can give some of these young kids that are actually wanting to join gangs, that are wanting to, get into the life of crime? Like, what's some great advice from, the legendary Maxwell Melvins?
Well, from what I can tell them is it's not worth it. I mean, these guys portray these gangster lifestyles, everything. They go out, they commit crimes together and everything. But the bottom line, what's going to happen is eventually when they get caught, they think that these guys are stand up. But as soon as these guys get behind closed doors, they're going to point the finger. They're not going to set responsibility for it. They're going to point the finger, and they're going to tell on you. And another thing, it's just not worth it, for the harm that we inflict on other people. It's just not right. Like a lot of guys, they turn to gangs because they don't have no one to talk to. They have no alternatives, and they're the only ones that can show them real love and everything. And they have the wrong perception of what real love is and everything. And, my best advice to them is, important is do not become a part of a gang out there because, trust me, they don't love you at all. When it really goes down and you're really in need and stuff, they're not going to be there. They're going to turn their backs on you. They're not going to be there. It's just not worth it. Nothing being a part of a gang. It's being misled, and sometimes it's very misleading, and how a lot of people interpret it as a certain weakness of you being a part of a gang and having someone else to lead your life, and you don't know how to lead your own life. So the best that I can tell them is, all that's bull. I mean, don't let those people force you into being gangs. That doesn't prove you're a man. A real man means a guy that's going home, that has a job, coming home, taking care of his family, loving his family, working, someone who's not inflicting harm on anyone out there. That's what a real man is, and they have it twisted of what a real man is. They think that you have to because you shot someone or you have to portray this tough image to be accepted. No, you don't have to do that. The only thing they have to do is be themselves, and they will be accepted. That's all they need to do is be themselves. Don't allow anyone to force you to become a part of something you do not really want to be a part of it. And most become a part of it because they are afraid, and they use it as a form of protection. Just as in prison, many guys get involved with various religions because they want protection in there. So they may become a part of a certain gang or a certain religion. I'm not saying all, but many become a part of something for that very reason because they think it's going to be protected. They just want to protect them,
And I gotta ask you, Maxwell, what is next for you? Other than the documentary you almost got completed, is there anything else you want to promote? Anything else you want to let our live audience know? Will we still have you here live on the radio station airwaves?
I can say that again.
Oh, pardon. Sorry about that. I was gonna say, what is next? What is next for you?
Well, I'm in Charlotte, as I just said. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I live in New Jersey. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. As I said, I'm down here filming real life stories right now, which is a true reality series on domestic violence. I would like to know that, and I want them women out there and the people to understand, do not allow no man or no one to put their hands on you for any reason. No one has the right to put their hands on you for any reason. A lot of women have developed and accept that as a part of a relationship that he loves me. They got it twisted, thinking the man putting his hands on you that this guy loves me. But no. So, I just want them to know they can look forward to that. They're going to be getting real stories, unscripted, of real life stories of women who have suffered, and men, not just women, men who have suffered from domestic violence, because it is a big, big issue right now. And that's why I constantly talk about it, and I talk about it in honor of my sister who was killed as a result of domestic violence, and my little nephew was thrown out of a second-story window at the age of 2 years old. And he, fortunately, he survived that, but later in life, he ended up taking his own life as a result of that. He couldn't handle it anymore. He ended up taking his own life by way of overdose. So, it's so many sides, and as I said, if I can tell my story and share, my insights, I'm willing to do that.
And I do want to say just quickly, Maxwell, my sincere condolences to your sister and your nephew, man. Like I really am sorry to hear about that.
Yes, thank you very much. And you know, I'm there for any of your listeners if they ever want to reach out to me. You know, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter. You know, if that's all right with you, I'm on Instagram, Melvin782, and on Facebook, I'm Max Melvin, and they'll see the work that I'm doing. And on Twitter, I'm Maxwell Melvins on Twitter, and they'll see the work that I'm doing and that I'm currently doing with the Die Jim Crow Project. As I said, we're still going into prisons. We're releasing a couple new singles this month and next month and every month. So I'll be sure that some of that music is forward to you, so you can allow your audience to hit some of the music that's coming off the Die Jim Crow Project.
That sounds wonderful, and like I said, if any of your artists ever need to get any extra exposure here in Canada, I have no issues giving them an opportunity. But speaking of music, the one thing I want to ask you, and I'm sorry, but I know we're just about to wrap things up here, there, Melvin.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, are you actually going to be doing like any music, like just yourself? Like, are you going to get back into that stuff?
Absolutely. I'm not like this, song rapper or anything, but yes, I'm going to have some music coming out. I'm actually a writer. I've been published more than 30 times in various magazines. My poetry and things has been published more than 30 times in various magazines throughout the world. So yes, I'm going to personally have my music and some music coming out soon to the audience.
And that actually sounds amazing. And I'm not just saying this there, Melvin, because you're on my station. You were always my favorite member of the group. You know, I just wanted to say I'm not just saying that because you're on my station. So it's good to hear that, you know, after all these years, you're actually going to get back into the music side of things. Because I really do think music is another great way to actually, you know, especially here in 2020 with all the crime here in Canada, I really do think, you know, music is another great gateway to actually get through to these youngsters.
It is. It has a hell of an impact on it, and I see it every day out here. Music has a hell of an impact on kids. Music is also an outlet for a lot of them. I mean, you know, music is a universal language that we can all understand. So everyone can relate to that. You know, everyone. And that's why, where I'm at in my life right now, I thought I would never be doing any music again in my life, but considering what's going on out there in this world right now, I'm more than honored to be able to go back in the booth and put something down.
And I want to say there, Maxwell, I'm most definitely looking forward to that. But I got to say, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy evening to come here on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM. I wish you nothing but happiness. I wish you just nothing but safety as well while you're traveling out there in Charlotte. I wish you safe travels back home to New Jersey. But most of all, thank you for giving us your time and just sharing some of your amazing stories.
Yeah, and I'd like to say also they can go to Jazz Underground International. You know, if they want to reach me, they can go to Jazz International, Underground International. It'll give them, what I'm doing and currently doing right now, some of the projects that I'm working on.
Most definitely, everyone. Make sure you check that out. Maxwell, thank you so much again. I hope you have yourself a wonderful night and safe travels back home to New Jersey.
Thank you, and it was an honor being on here. On your station, it's an honor being on here. I'd like to thank you very much and your staff for inviting me on. Thank you.
You are most certainly welcome. Honestly, it's an absolute honor likewise. So thank you so much, Maxwell.
Absolutely. And peace out to all the listeners and peace out to you, my brother.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Maxwell.
Thank you. Thank you.